Hi, everybody. I am with my dear friend Diane Caine with the Born to Rise book project, and I'm very excited to introduce her to you. She has brought so much joy into my life. We met in, business and otherwise, and I'm just excited to have you guys get to know her as much as I love her. So welcome, Diane.
Thanks, Kim. And I love you right back. It's been
Yeah.
so much fun.
So I know you're a leadership coach and a human behaviorist, consultant, right? And I love that. But I would love for people to hear from your own voice, like, who are you? Like, I mean, and that's a title, right? But who are you?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Well, yes, that's a title, right? That's what my vocation is. But really, I'm a mom, I'm a mammy, I am a wife, I'm a daughter, I am all of the things that everybody else has. We have all those labels, but really, I'm a human being who just loves life and wants to help other people. And that's where it really brought me down the path of the leadership part and the human behavior part. It was understanding what made people tick. Why do we behave the way we behave? I come from a family of first responders, and so there's trauma that's involved with that. And then had my own story and pieces that I needed to learn how to mend and understand. And so that's what brought the whole human behavior piece together, was really, we're wired uniquely. And as we evolve, we bring more of our authentic pieces forward than our conditioned pieces. And that's what I love to do about my work.
Yeah, and that's honestly the main reason we obviously wanted you a part of this book, is that we're talking about that, right? That we grow up with all these conditions and labels and other people influencing us. And of course, we're going to respond in some way to those things, if not react, and on labels and personalities. But it's so interesting that you went into this field, and it became so passionate for you to talk about. But in saying that, what is it? This is about being born to rise, right? So we're born, and then we have all that stuff.
Yes.
But what does it mean to rise for you? I mean, it's different probably for everyone.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, it's what it's been said, get knocked down 7 times, get up 8. It's those things. And I think it's just understanding the rise part is really the unlearning part. We're born, we're in these conditions and circumstances that we really, in all actuality, we haven't chosen, but on the spiritual path, we have chosen, right? That's part of why we're here, to kind of evolve and grow. And as I started to study more on that rise part of it, some of the things that I would do as walking through life, walking through the darker days, or walking through how life happens to us, was through that conditioning that I had learned, through that compartmentalizing things, right? I came on my dad's side. I came from an entire family who served in the armed forces. And then when they came out, served as first responders. Wow. And so you have to learn to put things in their containers, and we just move forward. Wasn't necessarily taught how to process the feelings or understand what they were. And then, my mom comes from an Irish Catholic family, so we're very boisterous. We feel our feelings, we cry, but even in her own conditioning of in the marriage of, oh, I'm crying and I need to put the tears away. And so part of my journey was, tears are great. Tears are a relief valve. God gave them to us as part of that. And, they're the most healing of waters. We need to let them flow. And so in that unlearning of things, the way that I had walked through life or tried to overcome some of those things, those obstacles between the accident, which I talk about in something else, and then the divorce, and then moving forward, it was those coping mechanisms that I would just kind of, we armor up and we move forward.
Yeah.
And that only lasts for so long.
Yeah.
Before you have to take them all off.
Right. And it's like in your family's history, it's a way to be able to continue this important work, because obviously their conditioning, if they're a hot mess, they can't serve others.
Right.
know that if we're not first responders or we're not, in military battles or things,
Mhm.
there's a way that we have to kind of take care of ourselves and make sure we're processing all that so we
Yes.
can help people. So, right,
Mhm.
and I'm assuming in leadership and behavioral stuff that that's going to come forth a lot.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You know what you know until you don't know. And then when you know, then you can do something different and you can do better. And so it's in that unearthing of, oh, I don't really have to cope this way. Okay. Oh, that's what's driving that behavior for that individual who's walked into the office today. There's a whole human that's coming into the office. So what are they bringing with you? You can't always check it at the door, right? All of us at some point or another is like leave your baggage at the door when you come to work. And I think COVID had brought out that there is no such thing as leaving the baggage at the door. It's coming with you. Whether you've stuffed it, whether you've stuffed the stuff really back down into the backpack really low, but it's still there and eventually something's going to make it pop out.
Wow. Did a lot change? Did you notice a lot of change with COVID that way? And what was the sort of like, way that, and I almost want to say this, like, what was the way that people rose during COVID? Because I feel like if they
Yeah.
become aware of that or you're helping them become aware of that, there's a rising that's happening, something's
Oh,
happening.
yeah, there's definitely a rising happening because of COVID. I think COVID, COVID was the great exposer of things, I think. It brought the humanness to everybody, right? The CEO of a Fortune 100 company was dealing with the same exact things as the single mom at work, but at different levels, right? So the CEO had more resources, maybe, as the single mom who didn't have those same resources. But at the end of the day, we were all locked down. We were either working with technology or not technology. So, the technological pieces showed up. It was a great equalizer or not. It was, oh, yeah, by the way, the stuff is happening in my house just like it can't happen in the boardroom. And in your house, in my house, the dog was barking, the kid was Zoom bombing, I was losing the thing, right? It was happening to all of us. So I think it brought about the whole human experience. And it took the people that maybe we put on pedestals before on this level playing field a little bit more. Oh, dude, you do put your pants on one leg at a time, like my father always told me, right? Yeah, right. Or didn't.
Hands on during Zoom. But anyway, we digress.
Yes, we did. But I think the thing that's coming out of it is we are whole humans and we can't separate them.
Right. I love that word. Like we're whole humans. And
Mhm.
I think what's so fascinating about the work we're doing here is even with all of these authors, we're seeing that um, we're all navigating something, no matter how our jobs are formed or how our families are formed right now, or how things are affecting us. But we're all navigating something all the time, and bringing that to awareness is really can be a powerful thing. Like you're saying, like, oh, the CEO has those same problems I have. They might look a little different. Okay, I can relate to that somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh,
Mhm.
Um, you've shared your story many times. I know you're a speaker, you're doing some coaching, you've written in other books.
Mhm.
What does it mean for you to share a story and a vulnerable story? Like we can all talk about a little experience and skim the surface and oh, I did this
Yeah.
and I did that and then I did this. But when we add on and I felt like this and I uncovered this and I became aware of, how is that different for you? And, as far as the corporate speaking or the coaching and then sharing a personal story, what is the value?
Yeah. What I've discovered through the process, especially sharing in writing on a significant loss, of the writing the story about losing my fiance at 21 years old, and sharing how lonely that was, and then sharing how messy that looks, our coping mechanisms that we kick in or we don't have, or the numbing that kicks in. Um, and then having people come up to me after, or someone who's read the story. Um, when it first launched, um, it was one thing going through the process and sharing it in these safe containers, but then once the book is out and having it be out in the world and having other people read my story who don't know me at all, um, was really, really, really vulnerable.
Yeah.
Like scary as all hell once it was out there. Um, because all the self-doubt kicks in. What are they going to think of me? Oh my God, what's going to, who's going to criticize? I'm going to be judged, all of that. And then to get the response that I got that was brave, courageous, and then hearing from somebody who said, because of the story and reading your story and the stories of the other women, it spurred me to get help.
Yeah.
It revealed to me that I really needed to go, and that I could move through it, that I hadn't really processed these things, and that I was going to go get help because of that. Like,
Yeah.
whoa.
And sometimes we need help uncovering that story, like you're saying, like going to therapy or going to
Yes.
someone who can guide you through the process of uncovering the story that you carry around, whether it's the
Mhm.
not enough, or I'm going to feel judged, or I'm ashamed of, or
Yes.
what it would be. So, was there a moment where you went from, I'm going to feel all those things, but I'm going to do it anyway? What was the thing that made you say, I'm going to do it anyway, even before you got any feedback? Was there something inside you that was just like, this is important, or whatever it was for you?
It was when I was first approached about it. I was like, whoa, I don't know. I don't know, because it was scary. It was walking around with the armor on for so long to protect your heart, and then fully taking it off.
Mm,
It as I said that, I had the vision of the turtle on its back with its underbelly, vulnerable, and um and then knowing when someone else was vulnerable and shared their story, how it impacted me.
yeah.
Well, who am I to keep it hidden away? Maybe even if it was just one person that was impacted, then I need to share it, because it's been done for other people, right? It's been done. Somebody else has done it for me, and I've gone through and I've traveled this path, and I've learned a whole bunch of things in the process. And who am I to keep it to myself? It's not just for me.
And
It's for someone else
in that
too.
metaphor armor, the armor's heavy.
Yes, it is.
It might be a little scary or vulnerable feeling, but it's somehow freeing. I know for
Yeah.
myself, because a lot of, what I'm going to share and what I have shared in the book is about that,
Mhm.
even going the step beyond of going outside the book and sharing it live and trusting. Like, there's a lot of trust that goes into being vulnerable.
Yeah.
But I know in watching you speak and watching other people share and reading other stories, that vulnerability piece is where I feel most connected to the people that I'm reading
Yes.
to. There's,
Yeah.
oh, I'm her and she's me, and we're not separate from one another. So, yeah.
Mhm.
Well, I want to give you an opportunity to leave anyone with anything you feel valuable, your innate wisdom, but please, share anything you'd like to, Diane. Maybe
Gosh.
learned
Well,
along,
what did you say?
learned along the way.
Anything I've learned along the way. Life really is bittersweet. It is. And we can't have one without the other. And I think, and I love that you've put this project together so that we can share that together. And we just need to embrace it. I mean, love really does heal everything. It really, really does. And it starts with loving ourselves first. And I think that that's probably the most important part that we're sharing throughout our stories in this whole Born to Rise project is learning to re-love ourselves so that we can love everybody else fully.
Loving that whole person.
Yes.
Loving that whole person.
Whole person, all the pieces.
we're not just one layer. We're not just our trauma. We're not just our joys. We're not just our, not just our labels, right?
Mhm.
And it's really fun to hear everyone's story when there's many, right? But how does that all
Right.
play in? So,
Yeah.
well, thank you, Diane Caine, for being a part of the project, and of course, you guys can check out more about her with the information that's following this. And yeah, so thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, good to talk to you, Diane.
Thanks, Kim.
Okay, see you soon.